Well, I mean, I've desperately looked for that silver lining that you're talking about, Pat. I've definitely looked for the sort of the rainbow, which allegedly when it rains you also get a rainbow. Still looking for it, still trying to find it. Um, one thing I'd say is this: in reading the documents, sorry, because you get a big pile of them in the lockup. I were kept being reminded of the National Party phrase, "back on track." Sort of, do you feel back on track? Right? There are 22,000 more people on job seekers than was forecast just at the last budget. Do you feel back on track? Wages are going up less quickly than they did, forecast last year. Or do you feel back on track? Money is out of, out of Best Start. We're taking money away from people on working for families. We're taking, there's lower economic growth. GDP per capita is much lower than previously forecast. Debt goes up, pouring yet more money despite all those cuts. $8.4 billion of cuts across the forecast period. And I kept thinking to myself, do I feel back on track yet? And I didn't. So I really then delved into the numbers to try and make myself feel back on track. And I just want to give you one early insight into something I think sort of really gives you something away. We're spending $30 million more boot camps.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they work so well. That was good money.
Yeah, failed so badly the first time round, we thought we'd lash another $30 million at it just to be really sure that we could be back on track. So, there's lots of things in the budget which we'll go through tonight to talk about in terms of, why we think this doesn't work, why I think most New Zealanders wouldn't think it would work. Mm-hmm. But, if you're looking for a silver lining here, the only silver lining is, one, there's so little money left in future budgets that budget documents next time around will be really short because there's actually very, very little cash to spend in future. And two, there's vanishingly little in this budget that will be popular. And the odds on this being a one-term government just got a little bit shorter at this election, at this budget, because there's nothing in here. And bearing in mind, this is the budget that will be real when people go to the polls. Because the next budget, it's too late. Stuff will be spent, things won't be happening. This is the stuff that will make a difference when you actually get to the next election. And what we're seeing here is more cuts in education, more cuts in health, and a range of other areas. There's nothing in here that's going to give a National Party worker knocking on the door and saying, vote for us in 26, a really good reason to ask the public to vote for them again.
And it really is, that they package this as a going for growth budget. It sure is. It's a growing homelessness because you've stripped $1 billion away from emergency housing. So it's harder for people to get emergency housing. And so basically they're left on the streets or in cars. It's growing unemployment. And it's growing pay gap between men and women. It's just astounding that they basically were able to stand up in the House and beat their chest. And, and all of this, what does Chris Bishop do? He tweets about, Barbara Eglin's the finance spokesperson is not in the House. Yes, neither was Nicola Willis last time the budget was in the House when she was in opposition, because we're out doing media and we're out crunching the numbers. So that shows exactly where their focus was, and their lineup of attacks in the last week, it was quite clear they were on the defensive and they were just trying to attack because they knew that today was not going to be a good day.